Yeah?
Yes, on Facebook.
Okay, and this is Praveen Dabas, your host for the MMA India show, and we are live with Vince Murdock of Team Alpha Male. Hey Vince, how's it going?
Things could be better, but
okay.
overall I'm doing well.
Okay, so Vince fought for the Gujarat Lions in the second season of the Super Fight League, and he's not a very happy guy, let's just say that right now, because of certain things which happened in two of his fights, and I have seen some of his other interviews, and so we have Vince here to speak to the Indian public, and I did speak to Bill Dosanjh as well, who's one of the owners of Super Fight League, for his statement, so we'll get to that later. First, Vince, you know, of course there were two fights and there was stuff which happened in between. Can you tell us what happened in the first fight, which was with Krishan Rawat, and of course after that in between what happened, and then your second fight with Vikas Dahiya?
Yeah, man, so much has happened. I'm going to do my best to kind of put these things in order and explain it to my best of my ability. It's just that so much has went down. It's going to be difficult, but I'll do my best. The first fight, I went out there and I would, it's clear that I was winning the fight. You can refer to the video, be your own judge of that, but in my head, I'm clearly winning the fight. I got a small cut. I'm not entirely sure where it came from. I kind of thought I did it to myself when I threw an overhand, but regardless, there was a cut on my head. It was just behind my ear. I would say about a half an inch long, and it had stopped bleeding, but regardless, they brought the doc in to look at it. And they weren't speaking English, so I didn't know, between the ref and the doctor. So they seemed confused, and what he told me that it said it needed stitches, and I've never known any fight to be stopped because of that, but that's what they chose to, what they told me, but, so...
Did they ask you if you can continue or not? Did they?
So yes, that's another thing too. I was told, he said, can you continue? And I was like, yeah, I can continue. My corner was like outraged. They couldn't believe that they were even thinking about stopping the fight. It stopped bleeding. The cut, man, was seriously so small. I don't know how to really put it into words, but it felt like that they did everything they could to get me out of there as fast as they could, and I feel like they achieved that because they stopped that fight. And it's not so much that they stopped the fight either, whenever they stopped the fight, but being ruled as a TKO and a loss just isn't right either. So not only is the stoppage wrong, but the outcome of the decision is also wrong, and is just not fair. So
now, did you try appealing the decision? What is the process for appealing a decision like that?
Okay, I didn't find out till afterwards that the process for an appeal would have had to happen 24 hours. So that's what I was told anyway, after the fact, about a week after. But right after, as soon as I stepped out of the cage, I had a word with my team owner, my manager, or my team owner, and the guy that brought me out there, and Bill himself, who looked me in the eye and told me that he was going to have this appealed. He told me it was never even going to go to the records, and that it was going to be taken care of before I even left the venue. So my appeal was told to me that it was in process within an hour of that terrible decision. And I assumed that Bill, he was the CEO. I assumed that he was going to take care of it. Why would I believe otherwise or not think otherwise? I was just out of good faith. I took his word for it, and I continued to stay there and prepare for my next fight because that was what I was told. I was told it was going to be taken care of, and why would I, you know what I mean? I just assumed, you know?
Now, if you hold on 1 second, I'm just going to try playing that for the Indian viewers. here on our screen so they can see the first fight with the
breather as well.
He absolutely
big shots there.
breaking him down. Nicely done by Murdock, and what a way to finish that round and put a stamp on it.
I was just gonna say, he put a great stamp on that round. You know what? Christian Robert might be smiling, but I think he might be a little hurt.
I think his team just had to carry him back over the corner, at least assist him to get back over there. And after the punishment that he took, how could he not be hurt at this point?
No, you know what? But let's take a look at those highlights because those are awesome. Here we go. This is the start of the round where Christian Robert, hands low, came in with those combinations. But then again, he showed what he was throwing a mile away. It was not set up. And Murdock took advantage of that and came back with combinations of his own.
He did. He did a lot of damage with these combinations. He might not have put everything he had on these strikes, but he was piecing them up throughout this round. Beautiful 1-2 with the right hand over the top. Same combo right there. Feet left hook that caught him. I mean, he did that all round long until he decided to duck under for the takedown.
That was a smart move because, you know, nothing puts a stamp on the end of a round like a solid move.
Nope.
And a takedown stamped the end of the round. He definitely took that round in the scorecard.
Another thing that was beautiful about that is he kept throwing punch combinations throughout that round. So all he had to do at that point was throw one strike to his head, and Robert had no clue there was a takedown coming underneath it.
Yeah. Great strategy by Murdock. But what a good fight. Robert is tough as nails. He's already on his feet.
That was an outstanding first round.
You know what? He's already on his feet. Murdock.
He's not
ready yet. And Robert is like, yeah, let's go. Let's get this going.
Man, you gotta love to see this sort of fighting spirit inside the ozone.
The doctor's inside that.
Oh, in the fight because of the cut.
Oh, I cannot believe it.
Are you kidding me?
No. I cannot believe this. But you know what?
Happened? Was it because of that cut?
I think it was the cut on the ear. Was there a tear? I don't know. We need to get word from the referee.
Wow, I'm shocked.
But you know what? Where does that put? We need to check with the judges because I don't know where that puts us in terms of the points. I mean, it's a horrendous pity because this was a great fight.
It was a great fight.
It was, and I couldn't wait for round 2 to get started.
Murdock was fine. He's not even bleeding right now. I can't believe this fight got stopped.
Yeah, so Vince, what I wanted actually also was to get to hear what the commentators were also saying, since that was in real time, and they were kind of shocked that the fight was stopped because you were not bleeding. One of the commentators said after that the bleeding had stopped, you know, a short while later. That's what he just said. Now, we did reach out, of course, to Bill for a statement, which he gave for both fights. The statement he gave was for both fights, but I'll repeat a part of it right now, which he said was that what happens in the ring is, you know, the purview of the commission and the referee, and there was a doctor there as well who ruled that you can't continue, and you know, so one should respect that decision and move ahead. We did try reaching out to the commission, to the referee, and we were told that the head of the commission would give a statement, but as of now, this was yesterday, we have not received any statement from them. So just wanted to put both of these things on the record and play the footage as well. So what do you want to say in retrospect also, putting all of these things in purview and on Bill's statement?
So in response to what Bill said, of course he's going to put any blame towards the commission. That's what I think is so strange about this, is that he's any blame that happens under, you know, in his cage or in his ring or under his banner. Anything that happens, he blames all on the commission. And what I think is strange is that all the problems with the commission that they're having and the bad referee and all the bad publicity that they're having is also making their company look bad. So if it was such a problem, he would stick up for me too, and, you know, get to the bottom of this, instead of just siding with the doctor who obviously made a bad call. It's no, you know, any commission that looks at this, you send this to any commission, and they're going to know that that was a bad call, and it was the wrong call. So the fact that he's going back, and that he had already said that he was going to fix this, and acting like he doesn't have any influence with the employees that he employs, like, you know what I mean, the refs, acting like he doesn't have any power or influence to help, look his own rep and his own doctor in the eyes and be like, hey man, you guys made a mistake, and it's, it'd be right for you guys to make this right. He didn't do any of that, and that doesn't make sense to me, because all it does is give the commission and the league a bad image and bad press. It doesn't make sense to me that he wouldn't want to fix that. In fact, he's just doing the opposite. He's continuing to fight. He's not once had my back or stood by my side and helped me fight this. He should be going after the same commission, and he should be going after the referee too for these bad calls. Especially being, at the time my boss, and me being an employee of him. I think it's his job to take care of his fighters. He didn't do that. I think it's, it doesn't make sense for him to not want to see this go away, and that only leads me to believe that there's more corruption between him and the commission, because it just doesn't make sense to blame it all on the commission and Allen and not take any responsibility. Also doesn't make sense to me. I refer back to Allen and the doctor, and they say blame SFL. And I can't get a straight answer out of either of them. And I talked to the doctor, and he admitted to me that it was probably the wrong call. He said I needed stitches, and at the time I was like, look, man, this is a fight. People get punched in the face. I'm in a physical fist fight with another human being. If you expect me not to have any bumps, scrapes, or bruises, this is the wrong sport. Maybe you shouldn't be doing this job. So if you got unfit and unqualified doctors in here, making calls that are wrong and not doing their job correctly, what's that say about the promotion, the league, and the commission? And it's not fair to fighters like me that have given their life to this sport and try and help push this sport. And then I'm out here outside of my country trying to help push it in other places, and it makes MTV look bad. Amir Khan's name's all over this. Like, I just don't understand why he would want that bad press.
Now, before we come to, because you just said there's some apparent corruption between the commission and SFL. Now, before I ask you to elaborate on that in a little more detail, I want to come to the second fight, and I also want to understand is that did you think of had you already spoken to the press before your second fight, or was that after the second fight? I think one of the first interviews you did with John.
Which might have been a bad idea. I think it made him mad.
Okay. Yeah, so the interview with John of MMA Today was before your second fight.
My first interview with him. I just did 2 of them. I don't know which ones are out right now, but the first interview was before my second fight. It was about 2 days after my first fight, and I had spoken to Bill, and I said, hey man, I don't want to have to do this interview. I would like to work things out with you. I'd like some answers, and just the lack of communication between me and you and the league, it just isn't working. It's not how you treat your fighters. I would just like some answers. If you're going to fix this, fix this. If you're not, let me know, and I'll deal with it in some other way. But give me the answers and be honest with me. And he didn't, and he wasn't, and so I did an interview. And I told him I didn't want to. I said, let's fix this. Let's not let me go to the press. I don't want to go to the press. But I went to the press in hopes that it would hold the league accountable, and it would force their hand to do the right thing.
Now,
not things worse.
But in hindsight, do you think you should have waited maybe a couple of more days? I'm trying to play devil's advocate here in terms of, do you think telling them, do you think that's like putting something over their head that, listen, if you don't fix this, I'm going to the press? Do you think that was all right to put it that way in terms of or in hindsight, I'm saying. Hindsight.
That whole interview was a week after my fight. It wasn't the day after. That was a week after my fight. Okay. I had asked. You know what I know is strange too? Is they just quit talking to me. They didn't answer my phone calls. It wasn't like I ran out of options.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything else to do. Like, what would you want me to do? Just let him get away with ruining my career?
No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, what I'm asking you is, in hindsight, when you were asking them to fix things, in hindsight, do you think you should have asked them to fix it, but not have mentioned, if you don't fix it, I'm going to the press? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking you, rather. I'm not saying.
I never threatened. So
Okay.
yeah, I get what you're saying. I never threatened to go to the press. I never threatened like what it sounds. I had asked, and I was getting zero answers. And I said, hey man, people want to talk about what happened. What do you want me to say, Bill? I would like to give these people answers as I would like answers. And it wasn't my first. It wasn't something that I wanted to do or that I sought to do. This guy contacted me and asked if I would be willing to speak about what had happened. And, I felt like I had no choice. And, what's also weird is they never got back to me until I did that interview. I never spoke to the ref until I did that interview. I never spoke to the doctor. Things didn't start to happen until I opened my mouth and they got that bad press. So, if I didn't say anything, nothing would have happened at all. I didn't hold anything over their head. I said, let's fix this. I want to be on your guys' team. I would like to work with you and help build up this sport. That's what I came out here to do. I'm a martial artist and I'm proud of what I do. It's a blessing to be able to compete. I'm excited to be here. Let's work towards, finding a solution, and it was the opposite.
Now, you were given some advice. Now, this is off the record. You were given some advice that maybe you should only speak about this once you're back in your own country.
Yes. So that's why I tried to be pretty nice on my first interview. I didn't speak about all the things that were really going on, because there was a lot of other corruption that was going on. I only spoke about basically the wrongdoing of the decision, and at the time I didn't think it was a big deal because it was obviously wrong. I didn't think anybody was going to be upset. I figured it was clear that it was a mistake was made and it would be fixed. I didn't think that was a big deal. I'm not a punk. That's my career. You just took something away from me. Fighting in America is a bit different than it is in India, and messing with someone's career is not going to fly. That's been I've been working at this since I was a kid. I've been an athlete since I was 10 years old, and I've been competing in martial arts since I was 17. So it's not something that it's something I take very, very serious, and you're not going to just, get one over on me. I didn't bash the promotion. I just said, in an ideal situation, I would like to see things get fixed. I'd like to see SFL. I said all would be forgiven. And that's it. I don't really know what to explain. I didn't mention the things that they had done to me before that.
Okay. So. Now the period in between, before your second fight, can you just tell the viewers a little about that period in between and events leading up to the second fight then?
Okay, so actually, I was supposed to fight the following week. I got dieting really hard. I haven't ate. I'm dieting really hard. I'm cutting weight right away. The day after that fight, I was getting ready for my next fight out of good faith that they were going to fix things. I'm sitting out here being a good employee for them. Busting my ass to put on another show for the show that already did me wrong, who hasn't stood behind me at any part of this. But anyway, I'm getting ready for it. And the day before the fight, they go, "You're not fighting." And I go, "Why would you wait till I'm on weight? I cut weight all week. I'm a pound away from making weight. And you're going to sit here and tell me I'm not fighting? Why would you not communicate with somebody like that?" My managers, my coach, Faber, reached out and asked that I be reimbursed, as that's not okay. It's not okay to have an athlete get ready for a fight and then not fight him, or say anything or reimburse him for anything. And they basically said nothing to him. They tried, they just nothing. That would also just leads me to believe more corruption. I believe they wanted our team to weaken, and I believe they did. they wanted us to, not move forward that weekend, which is why they sat me and a couple of our other guys and put a bunch of the backups in. And that's, I mean, you can watch all that. It's not a secret. It's all out there.
Yeah.
So, and then, leading up to the next week, the following week, same thing. I cut weight again. I'm getting ready for the fight. We get there. They want to have this meeting with the ref, the doctor, and Pankaj, another, high up in SFL, I guess, or Bill's right-hand man, because Bill at this point just won't speak to me. He is like, he just doesn't want to talk to me. I'm trying to be as professional as I can when I talk about him, but yeah, so he doesn't want to speak to me at this point. So he sends Pankaj in here to do his talking, who's also a really good talker and just talks my ear off and says whatever it is I want to hear. In this meeting, Alan goes on to admit that that if we should have overturned that fight. He goes on to saying that there was never an appeal, that Bill never tried to overturn it. He goes, even the doctor was there, and he was just kind of, under the impression that he made a mistake, and he did. And then they tell me I'm not fighting. This is the like 12 o'clock at night.
So basically, sorry, I just want to understand this. So basically, in that meeting, you were told by Alan and the doctor, Alan, because he represents AIMA, that if there was an appeal, they would have overturned it, but there was no appeal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And, what also is funny is he also stated that...
Now, sorry, I just want to... Now, the appeal, did it need to come from the management of Super Fight League or from Gujarat Lions?
Well, actually, it's the Gujarat Warriors, but...
Gujarat Warriors, yes.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
You can call it whatever you want.
Okay.
I was actually told it had to come from the team owner, who was also there, and who was also telling me that he had put in an appeal and was figuring the appeal process out. And what's funny is that Alan, this is the first I hear of the whole, there's only 24 hours to do an appeal, and this is 2 weeks after the fight. And they are telling me, he is telling me that he is doing the appeal and he's looking into it and he's going to get to the bottom of it. This entire time, knowing, obviously if he was aware of it, if like he said he was, he would know that the appeal time is over. And what's also funny is Bill also went on to tell me that after he did take care of it, like he said he would, he told me that he's like, hey, I'll take a look at it after the show's all over. We'll get the appeal out, and we'll get this taken care of after the show. There's just too much money involved in the show to change the points. And I'm like, I'm not worried about the points, man. I'm worried about my record and the wrong feeling.
Now, just two things I want clarified here. One is your owner said he did file an appeal.
Yes.
Now, is there any kind of, I'm just trying to understand things here very clearly. Is there paperwork involved in an appeal, or is it verbal?
It's an email, man. You just say, hey, I want to appeal the fight.
Okay, so that is paperwork.
Yeah.
So is there no kind of copy of that email? Did he not give you anything that, see here, I've filed this appeal on your behalf?
He didn't give me anything, but, I made an appeal on the second fight, and I can give you a copy of that if you want to see that, which is also nowhere. It's funny, is Alan told me to send it to him, and I sent it with him in 30 minutes of him telling me to send it to him. So, I really don't, the whole thing is just a runaround, man. These guys there doesn't need to be, the whole 24-hour process is bullcrap. You look any other commission in the world, and none of them have a 24-hour process. Why? Because that process takes more than 24 hours. All right, an appeal is something that doesn't happen overnight. It's something that happens over a couple weeks of time because people have to look at it. Multiple people have to come to a conclusion and a decision to justify that something was wrong. Obviously, in my case, it's very easy to see what was wrong, but an appeal, a 24-hour, that's just some crap that they're making up. Allen has the power to admit his wrongdoings. There doesn't need to be an appeal. There needs to be an admit fault. He needs to admit his wrongdoings. So the whole appeal crap, it's just a runaround to get me to, like, oh, I didn't make the timeline, you're out of luck. Like, it's just crap, man.
Now the second thing I want to ask you is that fight, the first fight, would your what was the points that day, and would your winning, would reversing your decision change the outcome of that fight card?
No, no. Our team smoked them. I think my fight was the only fight that the other team got points on.
Okay.
So I don't understand that. I said keep the points, man. I really don't care. Just change that to a no contest. If you want to. If you want to do, what's right, score that fight where you fucked it up. Score it where you made the decision to stop the fight, not me. Where you guys decided to make a bad call. You want to do me justice and do the right thing, score the bout, and give the win to the guy that deserves it.
Now, coming to the second fight, of course, you said, you just mentioned that in between there was a week where you were told that you were going to fight, but then told you weren't going to fight.
I know what you mean. So the second fight.
Now the second fight with Vikas Dahiya happened, and you were told that you would be fighting that week then?
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. So I was told that I was going to be fighting, getting ready for the fight, and like I said, that meeting is the day before weigh-ins, and I was like, and that's another thing. They do these things when I'm trying to cut weight and get ready for a fight, and then next thing you know, they want to have a meeting at 10 o'clock at night with the judge. You know what I mean? They're putting me through all this crap, and I'm trying to focus on a fight. Anyway, they tell me in the meeting, weigh-ins is in like 8 hours, and they go, you're not fighting. And I go, what do you mean I'm not fighting? They're like, you're not fighting, we don't have an opponent, or just whatever excuse they made up, they made up and said I wasn't fighting. So I eat, I rehydrate, I do whatever it is I'm doing. I've been dieting for 3 weeks straight. So I eat I eat whatever I want at this point because I'm pissed off, and I've been dieting for 3 weeks. I think I deserve to eat whatever I want. I'm not saying I picked out, but I mean I had food that I probably wouldn't have had if I knew I was fighting. And so anyway, the next day I wake up, I have a big breakfast, I'm eating pancakes, just whatever. About 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, day before the fight, they go, oh, hey, we want you to fight. What's your weight at? Can you make weight? Can you go cut weight? And I'm like, you guys gotta be out of your mind. This is, you know what I mean? Like, this is not how things are ran. This is wrong, and it's unprofessional, and you just don't do things like this. We're professional athletes, and it's embarrassing. Like, the fact that you're even asking me and things are ran this way is so unprofessional. Like, it's crazy. And I have the message, and I go on and I say, I can't say that I'm super comfortable taking this fight right now. If my managers knew what were going on, they would tell me not to take the fight. And a part of me didn't want to take the fight, but knowing this is also when I found out our contracts were switched and that I was only going to get 25% of my purse if I did not take that fight.
Now I've heard you say that before. Now I want to understand what you mean by when you say your contract was switched. Did you not have a signed copy of your contract before?
Oh, I have the signed copy. They have a different signed copy. But hold on, let's finish the fight. We'll talk about the contracts in a second.
Okay, sure.
They asked me to cut weight. I'm trying to remember where I was at. So I was pressured kind of by the team because they knew if I did not fight, our team didn't have a very good chance of advancing further in the competition. I'm always confident in my ability to perform and win the fight. I wasn't impressed with any of his fights before that, but definitely things weren't going in a comfortable way to want to go out there, compete and perform, especially under the influence of what just happened prior to, after the first outcome of that fight. The first fight I felt was very unjust, so it was kind of discouraging on there with the same ref and put everything in the hands of that promotion again, but I thought, they convinced me that this wasn't corruption and this is, just a mistake and things that would get fixed. So knowing that my team needed me and that I didn't want to do anything else to piss them off, and then they switched the contract, and I was completely flat broke, and I lost a shit ton of money out there because of them. I decided to take the fight because I honestly, it was clear to me that I was the better fighter, and that I was gonna, win the fight. So I was like, whatever, I'll beat this guy up. So we have to sign an agreement because obviously I'm not gonna make weight at this point, even though I was on weight. I want to make that clear. I was on weight, right? They knew that. I told them that, and when they told me I didn't have a fight, I was like, dude, I'm on weight. This is fucked up. But anyway, I was also told my opponent missed weight. At the time, I didn't know how much he missed weight by because I wasn't supposed to be fighting him. I just knew that the 45er on the other team had missed weight. So who knows how big he was. That's not important. They made me sign an agreement saying that I was okay to fight him at whatever weight he was at. I signed it, and that's that. And then we go on to the fight. I take the 2 shots to the groin. But if you want to talk about the contract real quick before we move on to that, we can.
Yeah. So basically, like you said, that they have had a different signed copy of what you had.
Yes. So let me explain how it works. So we were sent contracts through the guy that opportunity out here. We got the contracts. They weren't the greatest, but we signed them, and we decided, that this was an awesome opportunity to travel the world and fight for MTV, Amir Khan, what sounded like a legit opportunity. And our contract states if we don't have our second fight, our contracts will be reduced by 25%, meaning that we would get 75%. I screenshotted it and everything, and I sent it to them, and I showed them when they were doing all this shit to us, but they didn't care. So when we get there, before our fight, they said, oh, we lost your guys' contracts. Can you just sign these ones real quick? You're right here. They're the same exact contracts. We just want to, where the witnesses are here, because you need a witness, and the person that can sign their part. They just wanted to get it all out of the way. So we're like, sure, whatever. They kind of rushed us into doing it. We didn't really have a chance to kind of go over it and look over it.
Now, when you say we, who else was it?
It was all the Americans, Justin Gaines and Anthony Avila. Those are the guys that really got screwed because they didn't have a second fight. Anyway, so the difference in the contract said, you know what I mean? And you've seen these contracts, they're like 8 pages long. Like you think anyway, they changed the word to buy. So now the contract states if the fighter doesn't have a second fight, his contract will be reduced to 25%, meaning he will get 25% of his purse. All right, and that's what happened. And we told them that was wrong. We showed them the proof. We showed them the contract.
Sorry, I'm just clarifying something. So the first contract that you had was already signed by them, apart from you.
I don't know if it was signed by them. I sent it over just like I've signed any other contract.
So when it came to you, it wasn't signed by them, but you signed it and sent it back to them.
I'm kind of confused. I don't know if you've ever seen or done this. I've signed over 1,000, fights. This is like my 30th fight, and I've signed plenty of contracts. We get contracts, we sign them, and we send them back, and that's it. That's how it works. It's never signed by the promoter in front of us. They're always the last.
I've never signed any fight contract, but I have signed a lot of contracts. And
I'm just trying to explain to you what was normal.
Of course, that's what I wanted to understand, so the viewers know that what was the status of both contracts. And of course you still have a copy of the first contract which was sent to you.
Yes. Bottom line is they flew us from America to to India under a certain set of contracts, right? They flew us there under false pretenses. They flew us under a false contract, I guess, is probably the most important part about this, because that's not the contract that they held their end of the bargain to. The fact that they even gave us a different contract, I think, is crooked in itself. the fact that the fact that they changed what they did in the money should be enough. It shouldn't be about the stupidness of us not reading it. It should be about the integrity of the promotion, trying to get away with what they did and paying us as little as they do and keeping us out there for 4 weeks when they shouldn't have, and taxing us the way they did, and among many other things. But yeah, man, they switched it, so they gave us a new contract without our knowledge, but regardless, we signed it, so in fair game, they got us. They knew they were wrong, they knew that what they did was crooked, but they didn't care. And they knew it was unfair, but regardless. Let's go on to whatever's next.
Yeah. So now coming to the actual fight, the Vikas Dahiya fight. Now the first low kick was given as a low kick. You know, you were given 5 minutes, and this is what the conversation with Bill was with as well, is that the first kick was a low kick, and you were given 5 minutes. It's the second one, which is the debatable one, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm just going to play that first again for the viewers so that they can see, and also we can hear what the commentators and all were saying at that time. So just give me 1 second, and I'm just playing it for the viewers. Here it is. Vince versus Vikas.
This is on the money, but I need to see a replay of that again. Might be a bit harsh though for an inside leg kick.
I've never seen a ref stop a fight because of 2 inside leg kicks that landed to the cup. I mean, it's a technique that this happens with a lot. It's not intentional at all when you're throwing this way.
Okay, again, here we go. Here we go. No, that was not the cup.
They could have hit the bottom of the cup, man.
Maybe at the bottom of the cup, but certainly I don't think disqualification was.
Maybe he's changing his mind. I saw him say it was over, but maybe it's not going to be right now.
We're watching it on the replay.
Okay, I'm just going to go back a bit.
It's an inside low kick.
I'm just going to go back a bit so we can see.
Let me explain. That video that they're showing isn't the video that actually shows it. They have an angle where it's like front on.
Yeah.
Which was the one I tried to send you.
Okay. I'll try. Let me try and play that as well. I'll just play this. Basically, I want to play this as well to hear what the commentators were saying. Like I said,
sure.
I'm just going back.
When you throw lighter strikes, if you pop them 1, 2, 3 and come with a slower but heavier punch behind it, it really confuses your fighter. It doesn't allow them to get into rhythm. But we've got some aggression fighters right now.
I like the way Vikas is setting that. Oh, big leg kick caught by Vince and coming in with those leg kicks. One to the leg, and he's switching it up with that left high. Vince taking his time though. He comes from a great camp.
You see Dahiya going to check a kick that wasn't even there. You can tell some of those kicks from Vince have been doing some damage, otherwise he wouldn't be lifting his leg.
Man, you see the ties of Vince. Nobody wants to get kicked by those.
Man, those are tree trunks.
You know what? Speaking of tree trunks, later in the night we got Babaji fighting as well.
Yeah, man.
Those are real tree trunks.
Something. Oh!
Was that low?
It sure was.
We need to check. Oh no.
A chopping leg kick right to the cup.
Oh, you know what? Sometimes the foot slides up.
Especially with the inside leg kick, it's almost impossible to stop your foot from sliding up at times.
Let's take a look at the replay. But boom. Hang on. Was that high, or we need to get another angle on that one? But yes, I think if the foot slid up and hit the cup anyway.
Watching it live from my perspective, it looked like it nailed him right to the jewels.
Oh, yeah, it was an inside leg kick which might have hit a little high. You can see this from this angle now. Still not the best angle, but yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
And it catches him with a sideward motion too. That is the worst angle to possibly catch a shot to the junk, but we're back in action. Vince Murdock is tough as nails.
Oh, that was it. Vince is back. Oh, nice head kick there.
That was a switch kick to the head with lightning fast accuracy. That's the kind of danger this man goes. And again, the thickness and the strength that this man has with his legs, another cup shot with the same technique.
Now, hang on now. 1 second, wait a minute. We're going to be calling off.
Disqualification. That's it.
No, hang on. We need to see what happened here because I need to see a replay of where that foot landed. If that's a bit harsh for a disqualification.
Alan Fernandez has not been messing around with these DQs in this tournament.
What's that? We need to see a better angle because Alan Fernandez is on the money, but I need to see a replay of that again. Might be a bit harsh though for an inside leg kick.
I've never seen a ref stop a fight because of 2 inside leg kicks that landed to the cup. I mean, it's a technique that this happens with a lot. It's not intentional at all when you're throwing this way.
Okay, again, here we go. Here we go. No, that was not the cup.
They could have hit the bottom of the cup, man.
Maybe at the bottom of the cup, but certainly I don't think disqualification was.
Maybe he's changing his mind. I saw him say it was over, but maybe it's not going to be right now.
We're watching it on the replay. It's an inside low kick. Oh, hang on, new information, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on, the referee is gonna, I don't want to say anything on the air right now because they're a bit sketchy in terms of details, but what we're getting from the corner of the Delhi Heroes and what referee Alan just told us is that Vince might have given up.
And that means the fight has to continue. Vince Murdock rolled over and was not willing to continue, so because of that, he's saying Vince Murdock gave up.
So,
yeah,
okay, so
I just said a second ago.
Now, first of all, I just want to say the footage is courtesy of Voot.com, who is the official MTV Viacom online streaming partner. Now, you heard what was being said and what they said happened. There was some, and as you can see, there was a lot of confusion at that time. There was some debate between both commentators whether it hit the cup or not, but it was very, what they were saying, it was very close to the cup. One of them said, and from both the angles. Let me see if I can also pull up the video that you just sent me as well. Just give me 1 second, if I can.
That's fine.
Now, I can't pull it up right now, but nevertheless,
let me go on record.
Yeah, sorry.
Let me go on record to say that this is my 15th professional fight, and I have never been known for faking anything in my entire career. I've had a long career as an athlete, and I've never been known for my integrity has never had to been questioned as a fighter. Alan's has been questioned. I don't know. I mean, you guys know the deal with that. That guy's questioned every fight. And the fact that, even I got kicked in the nuts, man, and I would never fake that. But even if I didn't, that's not a reason to call the fight. Even if that kick was to my head and it knocked me silly, in order for my opponent to win, he has to come and finish me.
I was just going to come to that. Sorry, I'm cutting you. You never told Alan. You never actually tapped out. You never told him I can't continue. He just assumed that from looking at you.
Alan's.
Is that correct?
I want to say a bunch of things right now, but if you look at it, Victorus or whatever his name is walked away because he knew he hit me in the cup. Look at him. He didn't even jump on me. Why didn't he jump on me? Because he knew he hit me. And that's not an important part. Is
no, what I'm trying to say is what I'm trying to say is the opposite. Is let's say for a second you were pretending. He still had to come and finish you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's say I'm a piece of shit and I made it up and then whatever. He never gave me an opportunity to fight out of the situation. I don't even know what he was. I honestly do not know what he was thinking. That's why it leads me to believe that this was corrupt. He found a way to get the fight stopped, and he went with it. That's the only thing that could, you saw it. Look at it. Is there any other answer, man? Because it just does not make sense. For two reasons. One, you're going to DQ me. Two, you didn't let him finish me. That's the wrong call. What grounds could you possibly stop that fight on? What's funny too is I didn't roll over on that second one. I rolled over on the first one. That one, I went to my knees. I saw he backed off, and I took my time. And then I got up and I go, you know what?
What I think Alan should have, again, what I think Alan should have done is signaled that the fight was still on. According to him.
So let me go on.
According to him,
Alan
yeah, sorry.
Came over to me. He came over to me and talked to me, and I go, I don't need any injury time. Let's continue. I want to fight. And he goes, no, the fight is over. You lost. You didn't defend yourself. And I go, defend myself from what? The kicking me in the crotch? I said, what do you mean the fight's over? He goes, the fight's over, man. I just couldn't believe it at that point. And he told me that the fight, he told me I lost, the fight is over. And I could not, I just, you know what like could possibly be going through someone's head after something like that happening twice by the same man, the same referee, same one responsible for two decisions. I don't know, can you imagine? I walked over to my corner and they go, what's going on? Let's start the fight. And I go, no, man, I've been DQ'd. They stopped the fight. They're saying that that was a kick to the thigh and that I gave up. Or like, gave up? How did I give up? You know, I've been fighting a long time and I don't know what grounds that is for giving up. But, I mean, you guys watching it?
Yeah.
You tell me.
Like I said, let's say for an instant that there is a question mark over where it hit you, but that still doesn't mean that the fight should have been stopped like that. He needed to allow the fight to continue so that the fighter finishes you off. That's from what I've noticed. If the ref feels like, let's say if somebody says I've been poked in the eye or I've been hit, it's the referee's job to say no, continue fighting, or to motion that the fight is still happening.
Thank you. Yes, you have to give me an opportunity to stay in the fight, whether I've been hit and my knees are weak, I'm injured, you didn't see a cup shot on eye poke or anything illegal. You have to give me the opportunity to keep fighting. And I also want to go on to wonder why, if that was another injury, why would it be not a no contest, but another loss? Why was I given a loss instead of a no contest in that instance too? And you know what's funny is that Alan admitted it. He goes, I'm only human, you know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, that doesn't make things right.
But you're talking about he admitted it after the second fight, or because he said...
So I had another talk to him. I posted something on Facebook.
Yeah.
He got really upset about it, as he should have, because I didn't say anything negative about Alan until like today or recently, because I've been trying to contact him and make things right. But people are making their own opinions on this. People are saying things to him on their own free will, and he didn't like that. He called me
Sorry.
Morning.
Sorry. Can you repeat that again? You just got cut off.
Put it out in there.
Sorry. You just got cut a little. Can you just repeat that? You said he called you in the morning.
Yeah, he called me at 3 o'clock in the morning to discuss my post and basically asking me to take it down. He goes, yeah, that was the wrong call. I'm only human. I was gonna restart the fight, and I wanted to just like get up and be like, dude, you can't just make these decisions like that and sit there and say you're gonna tell me like now. Of course you're gonna say that now. Like, you have no other option, man. Just admit it. You were wrong, and you need to admit fault here. I don't know what would be stopping from you. And that's why another thing, it leads me to believe that Bill and the SFL and this whole thing is shady, man, because there's no reason not to fix that. It was obviously wrong. You admitted it to being wrong. Not only was it a loss, or should have been a no contest to begin with, you gave me a loss. You gave a guy another win for kicking me in the groin, who's actually got another win before that for kicking in the groin. And then kicked someone the following week and got the DQ, and he fought another Indian fighter. I just don't know how to explain those things, man. I don't, I need, like, try and explain that to me. It just does not make sense.
Now, just here, I want to put on the record what Bill's statement is that, again, I spoke to him about both fights. So I did mention what he
Yeah.
said after the first fight, but what he said was for both fights was that what happens in the ring is in the purview of the commission, and it's the
Of course it is.
referee's call, and also that they felt you weren't able, that the ref called off the fight because he felt you weren't able to, carry on, which is what we just spoke about, and you were perhaps looking for a way out of the fight, and that you should just take these losses and move on. That's his statement. And
let me respond to that too, by the way.
Yeah.
First off, being Amir's a manager, right? Like, he was so proud to tell me and brag about when we spoke. He's like, "Oh, I'm Amir's manager," and I go, "Yeah. Well, if this happened to Amir, is that what you would tell him? To just take these 2 losses, pick your shit up, and shrug this off and go on about your day? No, dude. You just ruined my career and my life and everything I've worked for. A way out of the fight? How does that justify a way out of the fight? It just got done kicking him across the face. And then his next thing was to kick me, inside low kick me, and then hit me in the cup. He knows the videos I sent. You know what's funny is nobody agrees with the league. Not a single person. And you look anywhere. You look everywhere, and there's not a single person that has agreed with Allen or the league or that statement. And the fact that he's sticking up for Allen here instead of me only leads me to believe that there's more corruption between them two. I mean, think about it. Why would they do that? You know what I mean? You would think that he would take my side and be like, yeah, it was a wrong call. I was looking for a way out. Please.
Now, I just want to get to the second fight as well. What was the point situation? Did you losing that fight make a difference to the outcome of the whole fight card in terms of points and which team won?
I'm not entirely sure because I left shortly after. I'm not entirely
but
sure.
Did your team?
They had to have a submission.
Did your team win that night or did it lose?
Our team lost that night.
Okay.
And I know it would have helped tremendously if I had won that fight or given an opportunity to continue to win that fight.
So the first loss didn't affect the outcome, but the second one, and do you remember which fight it was in terms of placement on the card? Was your fight the second?
I was just in front of the card.
Okay.
I'm not sure we would have won it, but I know it would have been really close, and it would have been too close for them to judge if I did win that fight, honestly. So meaning, like, if things would have played out a bit differently, we possibly could have won that night, because it would have been a tie. There's 6 fights, and it would have been 3 wins for us, 3 wins for us. It comes down to how these fights were won, according to the points. So yeah, they took me out early, in my opinion, to not give our team another shot. I don't know how else to look at it. It just doesn't make sense. Bill's statement doesn't make sense. That really upsets me that he would say something like that. And it only goes to show more about his character. You sit there and question my integrity as an athlete, and I was looking for a way out. I took 2 shots to the groin under your banner, under the SFL banner, and you're gonna call me a liar. Regardless of it, you're not gonna back the horrible decision by your own referee. It just doesn't make sense to me, man. It only makes me think that this whole thing is corrupt, staged, and predetermined. And dirty, man, and it's disgusting, and it's terrible for you guys, and it's terrible. It's giving you guys a terrible look, and I'm sorry. And
And now I want you to elaborate. When you mean corruption, and you said after that because you feel that they want certain teams to win. Is that what you're talking about in terms of when you talk about that you feel there's corruption? Is
corruption meaning that this whole thing is not ran professionally. Nothing's ran fair. The fights aren't even. You know what I mean? Corruption means it's dirty. Like it's Nothing.
No, I know what it means. What I'm trying to say is, by corruption, specifically, are you saying that because the first time your fight didn't have...
If you want to know what I think, and I don't even know if it's true, but these are my thoughts, it's just my opinion, is I think there's money involved. I think the owners of the teams have put money in to see their teams go further, or along some of those lines. The teams with the more money had better fighters. I'm not entirely sure how it's played out, but it just seems to be that way. You look at the way they're promoting Gary, and you look at his team and how stacked it is, and just some of the opponents, the way the matchups. My buddy Justin James had to fight a guy that was like 200 pounds at the 170-pound weight class. It just seems that we were set up to fail. Nothing was ever on level playing ground. Every time they got an opportunity to screw me and get me out of that fight, they took it. I just feel like this whole thing, this whole tournament, this whole thing comes down to being, whoever has the most money has the most power. And that's what it seemed like to me.
Changed the outcome because you guys still won. I'm not talking about the fight itself, but...
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said the first fight, your first fight, it didn't change the outcome of the points in terms of that you guys still won.
We still won. I don't know. I don't know if the point system is set up based on the amount of points we have throughout the whole series.
Okay. Or whether it's wins or if it's total points. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think that is how it works. So, but I can't be sure.
Okay. Now, coming to a couple of other things, you said that you've lost money as well. Have you been paid yet for your fights?
So I have been paid, but what they haven't told you is they didn't pay me until they actually kept me there longer than they said they were. They wouldn't fly me home. I got locked out of my hotel room. It almost seemed like they were just doing all these cruel things, man, and I was dealing with a lot of things with them. When they went to pay me, they started taxing me food and laundry services. They flew us out here for 4 weeks without any way to wash our clothes. We trained twice a day, we only brought so many pairs of clothes. How are we supposed to get laundry done? They didn't provide us with that. They didn't tell us about food. They told us to order room service for the first 3 days. They just stuffed us with all these bills, and they wouldn't let us leave until they took it out of our fight money. So not just me, and I also had to live off of the money that they gave me. So I ended up leaving, honestly, with less than, I don't want to talk about it. I lost a ton of money. I spent more money getting ready for this and just trying to survive out there than they could even fraction to give me, because I came out there with the intentions of fighting at least 3 times, because that's what I got ready for, and none of that happened. And then they took money from me on top of that. And you want to hear about how stingy they are? By the time they taxed me all the way down, the total of my fight money came down to $24, right, to a 4. And she goes, we only have a 5. You gotta give me $1 back, $1, right? And I go, I don't have $1. How about you just keep the 4? You keep your $4 and just give me the rest of my money. And she goes, okay. That's how stingy they are. They kept $4 because I didn't have $1 to give them back when they came to pay me. It's just disgusting, man. They taxed the guys that they only gave 25% of their purse to. So it's like, then they took money out of the 25%. You get what I'm trying to say? They took even more money. And then they fly us home on some bullshit 36-hour flight. Dude, I can't even explain to you, man, the crazy stuff. And they wouldn't let us leave. That's the thing. And they didn't pay us until the end of the tournament, 4 weeks. You know what I mean? We had no money.
Now, are you trying to still resolve the situation and the two fights? Definitely, what I can say is I don't want to comment on the first one, though it is pretty clear what happened. But the second one, of course, it's pretty crystal clear that the fight had to continue. If they felt you couldn't continue, that you had to be stopped. The fight should not have been stopped, but as a fighter, the other guy had to stop you. I think that's pretty clear. Now, but how do you resolve that? Because it's two fights which have taken place here and are on record with the commission here. So how do you go about resolving that? Apart from putting it out in the public.
Obviously, there's no way that those, the Indian Commission or SFL are going to do anything to help at this point. It's important that, if I can get another commission to look at this, it's not going to be hard to convince them that this was wrong. It's not going to be hard to show them the behavior of Allen and the corruption in SFL and them. They have a history of this, so it's not going to be hard to find, evidence to show that these people are wrong, and it's just a matter of finding someone that does have the power to overturn it. And I know there has to be a way, because there's just too much evidence against them. There's just, they were clearly wrong, man. They did me dirty, and it's not a secret at the point.
Now, I did hear you talk on another radio show about that, you still liked your experience in India and, the Indian people were good to you, and what you're speaking about is specifically SFL and your experience with them rather than the country itself. Now, on a better note, do you want to talk about, your experience being in India? Of course, unfortunately, it was colored with other events. But do you want to speak about your experience otherwise in the country?
Yeah, man. I really, I want to, because there's a bunch of people. I'm gonna put my phone on the charger real quick.
Okay. Sure.
There was a bunch of people that reached out to me. Actually, a lot of Indians that apologized to me. My experience with India, and just let me plug this in real quick with SFL.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So yeah, I wanted to be clear, man. My experience in India was awesome. The people were great to me. Truly an awesome experience. To be able to, see a different culture, it was really cool. I mean, even though it didn't turn out good, it was cool to be able to travel the world and compete in another country and just, help spread martial arts. That's what I love to do. It was cool, man. Honestly, you guys were all really good to me. I had a good time outside of SFL. I did, man. It was actually really cool to see the culture. It was a bit of a culture shock compared to America, but it was also really, really cool, man. And I honestly wish I was able to experience it under different circumstances, because I'm sure I would have had a much better time.
Now, just as the last thing, were you talking to other fighters as well? And what was the advice you were getting from either your team members or your other fighters? And did you speak to any Indian fighters as well, apart from the foreign ones?
Yes. I was also told that the Indian fighters were not getting paid. A lot of them weren't getting paid, and people were reaching out to me from inside the tournament saying, we're sorry that this is happening to you. They're embarrassed. It was quite humbling to have so many people reach out, especially the Indians. They kind of had my back, and that kind of meant a lot to me. It was really cool to see that they saw that this was corrupt, and they had my back versus, sticking to the promotion who was employing them at that point. You know what I mean? So
Other fighters spoke to me about the bad refereeing, taking unanswered shots, taking illegal shots, and Allen not doing anything about it. It'd be hard for me to go back and, because I didn't really watch any of the other fights, so it's hard for me to, kind of speak on it. But there's plenty of proof out there. People have been sending me stuff left and right of his mistakes and his bad judgments. So I know they're not hard to find. It's just I don't care enough to, you know what I mean? Like, this guy's already taken too much time in my head and energy to want to, like, go and, I can tear him apart this all day. You know what I mean? I have plenty of evidence right in front of me of what he did to me. But yeah, man, plenty of people, lots of fighters. My coach, as of now, still hasn't been paid. I'm not sure if he has, but he hasn't been paid. Even by the time I got home, he still hadn't been paid. So it's interesting, man. I don't know.
Now, what next for Vince Murdock, the fighter? Are you back in training? What are you looking forward to doing now next?
I'm ready to go, man. I'm looking to, if I'm not going to let SFL be the end of my career, I'm going to go out on my own terms. Obviously, this set me back a bunch, but it is what it is, man. If I don't get these overturned, it doesn't matter. I'm going to hit the ground running as hard as I can, and I'm going to try and just bounce back and jam out as many fights as I can. I feel healthy. I feel, ready to compete. I feel like I'm in, I'm 26 years old. I feel good, man. I've let promoters know, I've let the people know that I'm ready to get back in there, and I'm not gonna let this hold me back and keep me down. So I'm gonna keep fighting for it. I'm gonna keep fighting for my career, and I'm gonna keep fighting SFL on this and Allen and the commission, because it's just wrong. If Amir Khan doesn't know what's going on with this promotion, which I'm sure he does, man. I bet you, I can't imagine him being just as. This whole thing stinks, man, and I'm just gonna keep fighting it, man, and just keep showing the world what kind of people these people are, and they shouldn't. This is a black eye for MMA. These guys should not be in business. They're not doing anything for you guys. If anything, they're taking steps backward, and they're making it harder for you guys to get noticed and bring Indians outside of that. I was also told that they signed every Indian fighter to like crazy 6-fight contracts or six-year contracts, meaning that they can't fight outside of SFL. So, that's just terrible, man. That is not giving those guys an opportunity to compete for other promotions and leagues, and it's disgusting. But I don't know how much of that's true. It's just what I was told.
Anything else you want to say before we say goodbye here?
Yeah, man, I'd like to give a shout out to you guys for giving me an opportunity and a platform to say this and share my story, man. This is really cool of you. I was a bit nervous about coming on, just because I didn't know how much pull, these, SFL and these guys got out there. But it was, this interview was really fair and just, and I appreciate it, man. I really felt like I, welcomed, and thank you, man. This was. I think you're doing a good thing for the sport, and for me, and letting me be able to share this. And I think you're a good man for that. So thank you.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you on board. And everybody knows the MMAindia.com and the MMA India show has always been a fair and open platform for the fighters, and we always allow both sides to get their stories and out there. We try not to present one side. We do. That's why we spoke to Bill yesterday, and like I said, we didn't get any answer from Aima, and we put it out there for the viewers. We are never ever pressurized by anybody. People have tried in the past, but we've never pressurized by anybody. So people watching always know they are watching the only legit MMA show in the country, and in one of the biggest in Asia as well. So we would like to thank Vince for coming on the show, and we would like to wish you all the best. We do hope that these things are resolved, because it's never good for the sport, you know, when these things continue on and on without any resolution. So we really do wish you all the best to resolve this and in the future for your career as well.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Take care.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining in. Cheers.